Everyone, I hope everyone had a relaxing week and also find some time to spend with your family members. Since we just finished Unit 7, so today we are going to start Unit 8. And this unit, we are going to introduce some information regarding 3D objects, such as cylinder, cone, or rectangular prism. To have a pretty good foundation for that, today we are going to review something about the area of the shapes. And this unit, we are going to focus on, so we are going to use a lot about rectangle, triangle, and circle. So everyone probably still remember this topic. To find area of the rectangle is area, again, just want to quickly remind you, is a space inside of the shape. Okay, so the area of the rectangle, which is length times the width. And for triangle is, again, find the space inside of the shape. Is this one is half base times height. The base is like the bottom line segment. So if we find the distance or length of this one, and we times the height. But based on the different kind of the triangle, for example, sometimes we talk about the right triangle, sometimes we talk about obtuse triangle, the height will look like a little bit different from this one. For circle, the area of the circle, which is again inside the space, we are going to use the radius, which is called pi r square. Please do remember there's a huge difference between the circumference, 2 pi r, and the area, which is pi r square, but we focus on this one. So this is just a quick review for this, and next we are going to use several examples to talk about the area of the shapes. So let's check the first one. This one is we are going to find the area of this triangle here. As you can see, this is a right triangle. Based on the area of the triangle, which is half base times height, so since the height is actually, you can consider it side. So that's why it's supposed to be half base, which is 8 times 6. Another way you can think of that one is if I draw another part of this one, you can see it look like a rectangle, right? So this triangle is just half of length times width. So that's why it's coming from that one. So it's multiple ways to understand, the area of this one. So this area is gonna be half times 6 times 8. So the final answer is gonna be 24. You can also put the unit, since we talk about the area, so it's gonna be centimeters square. Okay, so this is basically a very, very quick review. As you can see, the right triangle, the height is a little bit different, look like this one, just because this is already perpendicular to the bottom side. Okay, let's check a little bit more complicated examples. So, if we can find the shape is very easy. However, sometimes we are going to put several shapes together to find a new shape. And this kind of shape this is called composite figures or shapes. So basically this one is just we put different shapes together. Sometimes we can put a different similar shape, like put two rectangle or even multiple rectangle together. Sometimes we put rectangle with a different shape or a different shape together. This one is called composite figures, and this is actually used a lot in real life situations because a lot of cases we do not just use one shape. And so let's focus on how do we find the area for that. There's actually multiple ways to do that. I just show one example here, and you can definitely try the different way. You can also pause here to come back to compare your answer with mine. So let's check. As you can see, we kind of have if you look very closely, and we can draw the line in between, you will notice this is actually a rectangle plus another rectangle, right? So for this area, we are going to use a rectangle area to find the both. And since we have two pieces, we just need to find the area for each one, and we can find together. So let's let's say this one is A1, this one is A2, so it's easy to talk. So A1 is the top ones is a rectangle we always find, which is length times width. So length, we already know that, which is 15. For width is kind of confusing here. So for width, you say, hey, is that 19? No, because width is only talking about this distance. So that's one. For width, it's going to be, for this distance is 9, so this distance is also 9 here. So that's why it's going to be 19 minus 9, which is for this piece is going to be 10. So that's why for the top one is going to be 15 times 10, which is 150. Make sense? Okay, so now let's focus on the bottom part. So for bottom part, it's going to be, the length is 17. And again, be careful, so the bottom part, do not confuse the top one. And 17 times what? Times width, which is 9. So 17 times 9. Which is, you can use your calculator, which is going to be 153. But we're not finished yet. So remember, we are talking about the total circle. Not total circle, sorry, total area. So we're going to put them together, which is 150 plus 153. Then we will get it, which is 303. You can put inches as a final unit, and if you keep this one as a final answer, that's okay, but it's always good to put a unit. So this is one example to find the composite figures. Okay, so let's check next example. Okay, so let's check this area. As you get the first, again, this is not just one single shape, it's two part. So if you look closely, what are the two parts we have? Yes, you are right. So we do have one rectangle here, and we also have half of circle, semicircle here. So let's figure out the two pieces together. So let's figure out the easy part, rectangle. I always, like to put a, the footnote here so I know which one we're talking about. So rectangle is very obvious, which is length times width. So we already have this two information here, which is 150. So for the semicircle, some students might wonder, hey, so the area of the circle, which is pi r squared, then what about semi? Semi meaning half of that, right? So it's going to be half of this. So all we need to do is put the information half. But what is r? If you look closely for this circle, so something, is that r is 10? The answer is, yes, you're right. The answer is no. So since this is the whole thing is 10, we know it's actually diameter is 10. So that's why the radius, the half of this is what? Is 5. So instead of using 10, we're actually using 5 here. Now let's just put everything in the calculator and we can find out the answer. So let's clear everything here. So it's going to be half times, again, we use pi. So later if we do need to round, it's not going to 5 squared, which is 25, but we still put it here. So we got everything here. Let's go enter. Okay, so we don't know how to round the final answer. Let's just write a little more. So 39, I think it's 2699. And then the final total area, we are going to plus them together. So it's going to be two pieces together. You can also use the original answer you have here to plus whatever you had before. So this answer is here. Let's round it to the nearest whole number. So let's say nearest inches square. So we just keep the whole number here, which is, and also we check the decimal, which is 2. It's not going to round it up. So the answer can be 189. Again, this is rounded to the nearest inches square. Since it's an area, so do not forget this is a square. Okay, so last example, and we are going to finish. Let's check this one. So what are the two shapes we have here? You already noticed. So we have a top triangle. We also have the bottom, which is rectangle. So let's put them together. Again, I always put a footnote, so it's easy for you to understand. Do not just put an A. You don't know which exactly you're talking about. So rectangle is always the length times width, which is, you don't need to put a unit right now. You can put a unit later. So 12 times 18, which is 216, and triangle. So triangle is always half base times height. The b here, the lowercase b here, is actually stands for the bottom side, the length of the bottom side, and also the height. So let's check, do we have information here? The height is already given, is 7 yards here. So do we know the base? Remember, this is a rectangle, so this is actually this equivalent distance. So this is going to be 18, so we're going to use that. So half times 80 times 7. You can just use the mental math. Half of 18 is 9. 9 times 7 is 63. Or you can just use calculator to double check if your answer is correct or not. Okay, so it's 63. But do not forget, we are talking about the total area. So that's why we are going to put them together, which is 216 plus 63. It's always good to do the mental math, or you can use calculator to check it later. So the answer is going to be 279, or you can check it again. So that's our answer. Also, do not forget the unit. Since it's a yards, so it's yards square, because you are talking about the area. Okay, so that's just quickly review for the areas. And as you can see, when we talk about the composite figure, sometimes you can deal with two, sometimes you can even deal with more complicated cases. We can put multiple shapes together. But once you figure out what exactly each shape, you can just use area of this to find out the answer. Okay, hopefully this video you find this helpful. Hope everyone stay safe and stay healthy. See you soon.